The 7 bone-chilling spiritual tests only the chosen souls face at midnight. Are you one? Midnight. A veil of darkness shrouded the small town of Maplewood, but not just any darkness. It was thick, almost tangible, as if the very air was charged with electricity and some ancient energy stirred awake. This was not just a moment in time. It was a ticking clock, whispering secrets to those brave enough to listen. Every year, under the gleam of the full moon, around a dozen townsfolk gathered at the old cemetery, where tombstones crumbled under the weight of their own stories. They came to participate in the arcane and mysterious midnight tests designed only for the chosen souls. Each resident had their own tale of the chilling spirits who emerged at the witching hour. Sophie, the town librarian, a frail woman in her 60s, spoke of the time she felt a cold breeze swirling around her as she whispered her most profound fears, only to hear her voice echo back, distorted and mocking. Mark, the local bartender, recalled how he followed the flickering lights to a clearing within the cemetery, only to discover an ancient tree, the Tree of Truth. It was said that those who touched it would see visions of their worst nightmares writhe before them. Each story added a layer to the electrifying atmosphere, thickening it with ever-burning curiosity. The townsfolk would gather to share ghost stories, people leaning in close, their breaths held tight, trembling in anticipation of the unknown. A chill swept through the group as the clock struck 12. Heartbeats quickened. Shadows danced around them as they grappled with the pull of the dark. Spirits angry, grief-stricken pressed against the living, demanding recognition. Laughter turned to nervous chatter as the first of the tests began. "Tonight, we face the Guardian," shouted a young man, his voice betraying both fear and excitement. An uneasy silence fell like a curtain. What did it mean to face such a presence? Everyone wondered, their faces pale in the moonlight. The hairs on the back of every neck stood on end, and it wasn't just the chill in the air, it was a palpable force, electric and alive. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The second the words left his lips, the very ground trembled beneath their feet. A slow, haunting wail filled the air, curling around the gathering, wrapping everyone in a cold embrace. It felt as if the earth itself was a living entity, breathing and heaving, waiting. Every heartbeat thudded louder in their ears, a constant reminder that something was coming. As the wind howled through the trees, a figure emerged, draped in shadow, the guardian of the tests itself. Fear clutched at the throats of the brave souls, now stood frozen in place. Would they survive the challenge, or would they become just another legend whispered in the wind like so many before them? As the figure raised its hand, a soft, eerie glow radiated from beneath its cloak. It beckoned them closer, urging them into the unknown. What lay ahead? Would they emerge as warriors or victims of the test? The Guardian's outstretched hand shimmered like a distant star, casting an unnerving light over the gathered townsfolk. The air grew thick and hot, a stark shift from the bitter cold that had gripped them moments before. As the glow danced upon their faces, emotions cascaded through the crowd: fear, courage, and a mounting sense of dread. "Step forward," the Guardian's voice echoed, low and powerful, reverberating through the marrow of their bones. It wasn't just an invitation. It was a command that lured them into the depths of their own darkness. As silence enveloped the cemetery, the townspeople exchanged glances, seeking strength in each other's eyes. One by one, hands began to quiver at their sides as they approached. Sophie, her frail form trembling like autumn leaves, took a defiant step towards the Guardian. "I will go first," she declared, her voice steadying even as her heart raced. The crowd gasped collectively, a murmur of encouragement and fear washing over them. With every inch she moved closer, memories surged within her, faces of lost loved ones, whispers of regrets long buried. She reached the Guardian, and her fingers hesitated just above the glowing palm. The cold light wrapped around her as she touched it, igniting a torrent of visions. Sophie stood in her home once more, but everything felt wrong. Shadows danced in every corner, her once cherished memories now twisted and grotesque. She heard the distorted echoes of her own voice pleading, "I should have been there. Please, forgive me." Tears streamed down her face as pain lanced through her heart. Meanwhile, the townsfolk remained frozen, witnessing the horrific scene unfold before them. The chill returned, wrapping them in a shroud of unease as a hollow scream escaped Sophie's lips before abruptly snapping her back to reality. She stumbled backward, breathless, horror painted across her features. "It's real," she gasped. "The voices, they haunt you." Mark, emboldened by Sophie's ordeal, raised his chin. "I'll face it next," he called out, stride resolute. The guardian nodded, its dark presence almost expectant. Mark stepped into the light and placed his palm on the guardian's. Instantly, visions assaulted him. The bar where he worked morphed into a battlefield of shattered glass and broken dreams. He saw the faces of customers, twisted in fear, their last moments frozen in a horrific tableau. Guilt crashed over him like a frigid wave. He had been the last to serve them drinks, a needless last request. Now a burden too heavy to bear. Mark staggered back. Rage rumbled in his chest, but the guardian only nodded, absorbing his tumult. "This is just the beginning," it murmured, the shadows swirling around it pulsing like a heartbeat. The crowd clamored back, voices whispering a mixture of terror and disbelief. They watched as family ties began to unravel beneath the pressure of their own truths. One by one, they were drawn into the light, compelled to confront the demons they had buried deep within. Fear spread, consuming their resolve. They clung to one another, hearts racing. What lay at the end of this ominous path? A chance for redemption or eternal torment? The essence of despair wrapped around them tightly as shadows grew longer, threatening to swallow them whole. Who will be next? The guardian inclined its head, eyes glimmering with a darkness that felt alive. The question hung in the air, a sharp knife just waiting to cut through their resolve. Would fear claim them, or would they step forward ready to face their truths? The chaos pulsed as the ground trembled yet again. Just when hope felt lost, a figure stepped into the opening. This time, a very familiar face appeared. A chill swept through the crowd. Who dared to confront the guardian now? What secrets would they reveal? And could they withstand the truth when it came? With a heavy heart, Clara stepped forward, her fingers trembling as they brushed against the fabric of her dress. The crowd stilled, every eye pinning her with expectant dread. Clara had always been the rock of their small town, the steady one, the one who organized every bake sale and coached the youth soccer team. But beneath that calm exterior, secrets twisted like the gnarled branches above them. "Clara, no," a voice called out, but it was swallowed by the oppressive silence of the graveyard. "She's the only one," someone whispered, a hint of admiration tainting the fear. The guardian's light pulsed ever brighter, almost beckoning her. Clara squared her shoulders, caught in the eye of the storm, and stepped closer as her palm pressed against the guardian's luminous glow. The world around her faded into darkness. She gasped as her mind flooded with memories, each one sharper than the last. She found herself standing in her childhood home, a place where laughter once thrived. But now, it felt suffocating, full of anger and regret. The ghost of a time long past played out before her, a birthday party, candles flickering on a cake. She heard her father's laughter, but it quickly turned to rage. "You never cared." His voice bellowed, echoing and distorting, warping into a monstrous growl that shook her to her core. "You left us. You turned your back on your family." Tears rolled down her cheeks as fear clawed at her throat. Memories scurried like rats, her mother alone in hospital rooms, her sister lost to the world, always waiting for Clara to call, but never getting that call. "I had to," Clara choked out, her voice breaking. "I thought I was doing what was best," but the guardian's light flared, illuminating a newer reality. She saw her family gathered, holding hands, but their faces shattered, eyes hollow stared through her like she was an apparition. "You abandoned us." They screamed in unison, words slicing through the silence like knives. Each accusation pierced deeper, unraveling her carefully constructed facade. Clara stumbled backward, breathless and shaking. The crowd's eyes bore into her as she caught sight of Sophie and Mark, both still haunted by their own revelations. The Guardian's voice resonated softly, yet every word struck hard. Have you learned the cost of denial? Each choice made has its price. Clara turned to face her own community, feeling the weight of their judgment pull at her. I didn't mean to, she began, but loud gasps interrupted her. From the back of the crowd, an unfamiliar face emerged. Adam, the town's reclusive artist, with eyes that seemed to hold the stars. Clara, you don't have to bear it alone, he called out, desperation woven through his tone. The crowd rippled, glimmers of doubt battling against despair. Step back, someone warned. This isn't your fight. No, let him speak, Clara pleaded, feeling a spark of something she almost thought dead within her. If we're facing the truth, then let us be free first. As tension crackled through the air, the Guardian's hand glowed fiercely, casting shadows that twisted like smoke behind it. The truth must always come to light, but be warned, it can scorch. The crowd stirred. Emotions churned as the weight of Clara's struggle hung heavy like a storm cloud above them. Would they find freedom in facing their truths, or would they succumb to the very darkness they had feared? Is the truth so terrifying? The Guardian challenged, its voice thick with foreboding. Who dares to confront the final reckoning? Clara's heart hammered in her chest. She felt the heat of 1,000 eyes drilling into her, yet the voice inside screamed for freedom. I will not walk this alone, she shouted, her spirit igniting like a flame as she turned to the crowd. Together, we can face it. Together. But would the others join her, or would they turn away once more? The air crackled with a charged tension as shadows shifted ominously, hinting at the horrors yet to come. Would someone else rise to challenge the Guardian, or would fear stem the tide of truth? The answer loomed, thick with uncertainty, waiting to tip the balance. What terrifying truths would they unearth next, and could the bonds they forged withstand the pressure of their darkest fears? An eerie silence enveloped the graveyard, amplifying the stakes of Clara's defiance. As her voice echoed off the aged gravestones, the Guardian's glow flared brighter, illuminating dark corners of the crowd that seemed to cower in fear. Faces twisted with a mix of curiosity and dread, each individual considering the weight of their hidden truths. A shiver ran through Clara, a sensation that crawled up her spine, whispering warnings as she watched them grapple with their inner turmoil. Adam stepped forward, his own struggles etched deeply in his features. Let us speak our truths, he encouraged, his voice trembling but resolutely unwavering, hoping to ignite a flicker of bravery within others. Or we will remain prisoners to our past. Do you really think it's that simple? Hissed a voice from the shadows. Clara's heart sank as Julie emerged, the town's most formidable critic, her arms crossed defiantly. You think you can shield us from the truth? The past doesn't just disappear. Her laughter, sharp and cutting, sliced through the tension like a knife. Clara's breath caught. Memories of that awful night twisted her gut. I'm not trying to shield anyone. I'm trying to free us, she shouted, panic spilling into her voice. Freedom? Julie scoffed, her eyes alight with disdain. You think confronting our pain will change anything? Look where it got you, Clara alone, trembling at the foot of a glowing statue. The Guardian shifted ominously, its light fading momentarily as if weighing the words of the townsfolk. Clara's mind raced. What if Julie was right? What if facing the truth merely plunged them deeper into despair? People do change, Adam insisted, raising his voice so that it could slice through the thickening tension. You wanting to hide one to protect you. It only serves the darkness that festers inside. He held his gaze steady on Clara, urging her to continue. A flurry of murmurs rose within the crowd, growing into a cacophony of voices. Some were willing to take that leap, while others cried out, leave it buried. Let us just ask what the Guardian wants. Mark's voice rang out, a mix of dread and determination. Maybe that's the key. If we know what we're being tested on, we can. At that moment, a chilling gust swept through the gathering, extinguishing the warmth of the Guardian's radiance. The light flickered threateningly, casting grotesque shadows that danced across the gravestones. Clara's heart raced as she felt an unseen presence loom closer. Would you dare to learn of your shortcomings, your failures? The Guardian intoned, drawing the breath from around them. to lay bare not just the darkest parts of yourself, but also the hurt you've cast upon others? Stop it, someone yelled, tilting their head back in agony, a figure torn between the desire to lash out and the fear of revelation. The air grew thick with raw tension, and Clara could almost taste the fear pooling around them like a mist. Will you allow these buried wounds to hold power over you? The guardian continued, its voice booming, resonating through the air. With every word, it ignited a fresh wave of dread, echoing Clara's deepest fears. It's time to decide, rise in truth or drown in silence. Tremors of uncertainty rippled through the crowd. Clara felt the heat of their collective turmoil smoldering just beneath the surface. In this moment of crisis, would they embrace honesty, or would they become consumed by fear? We can't ignore it anymore, Clara yelled out, her voice tinged with desperation. If we want to move forward, we must confront this together. The crowd wavered, some nodding in agreement, others backing away as if recoiling from her words. Would solidarity be forged in this crucible of truth, or would fear triumph, plunging them all back into the shadows? Before Clara could raise her voice again, the Guardian's light pulsed violently, illuminating a massive crypt behind them. Its door swung open, ominously inviting as a hidden spectacle beckoned. Clara's heart pounded louder in her ears. This would be their test. What lies within? She murmured, dread crawling once more. The darkness within the crypt was vast and uninviting. As the crowd stood teetering on the brink of decision, Clara felt a dawning realization: this was only the beginning. What lay beneath the surface, their darkest truths, or something even more sinister? Will you step into the crypt? The Guardian challenged, its voice vibrating with a compelling urgency. The choice is yours. The tension hung heavy in the air. Who would dare take the first step into the unknown? Would their fears bind them, or could this moment become a turning point? Clara held her breath, her spirit quaking as they poised to uncover what horrors awaited inside. Would they face their deepest truths, or would the shadow of doubt pull them back, sealing their fates in darkness? The crowd stood frozen, the murmur of uncertainty shifting like a restless tide. Clara could feel the weight of their collective indecision pressing on her chest. Time seemed to stretch, each heartbeat echoing louder than the last, as if the Guardian was counting down to an inevitable moment. Do we really want to go in there? Someone whispered, their voice shaky and low. Clara turned to see a young woman clinging to a man's arm, her face pale, as if the crypt's darkness had already seized her. Those who fear the truth fear the light, the Guardian reminded them, its presence pulsating with an almost electric energy. The darkness cannot claim you if you know what occupies it. With that, the Guardian's glow surged once more, momentarily illuminating the crypt's threshold. Clara squinted into the darkness, willing her courage to ignite. Was this the moment they'd either plunge into despair or rise anew? She couldn't fathom standing idle while darkness tempted them back to the past. Enough, she yelled, desperation sharpening her voice. If we can't even take this step together, how can we hope to conquer what lies ahead? I won't let fear hold us down any longer. Adam stepped beside her, his gaze fierce. This is our chance to face together what we've buried, to emerge on the other side stronger. We owe it to ourselves. The crowd shuffled uncomfortably, glancing between the crypt and each other, their stares heavy with unspoken truths. Clara could feel the swell of emotions surfacing: the anger, the shame, the sorrow. Then, with a deep breath, a man stepped forward, breaking the thin veneer of hesitation. His eyes shimmered with a fierce resolve. I'll go? Gasps echoed as all eyes turned to him. If I can't face my past, what do I have to fight for? He marched toward the crypt, his footsteps purposeful. Clara's heart raced, not out of fear, but a flicker of hope igniting within her. Wait. Julie stepped forward, her voice sharp like glass. We can't just let one person go in. It's dangerous. Yet her protests felt weak, a thin echo of her earlier defiance. More murmurs arose from the crowd, some emboldened, others paralyzed by fear, but the man didn't halt. He reached the entrance, and, for a wild moment, Clara saw the shadows coiling around him like a living shroud. The Guardian's light began to dance, flickering as though alive. It illuminated his features, fear and determination mixed in a battle as old as time itself. I'm going in, he declared again, his voice steady, resonating with an authority that sucked the air from the crowd. Wait, please, Clara called out, her urgency rising, but he was already crossing that threshold, disappearing into the inky void. The moment he vanished, a low, ominous rumble reverberated through the ground. A warning? A challenge? The crypt groaned, doors slamming shut behind him. The ripple of shock surged through the remaining crowd, a cacophony of disbelief mingling with a rising tide of panic. Clara clenched her fists, pulling her focus back to the Guardian, challenging it to reveal what lay beyond those walls. You'll have to face what you've cast aside and the choices that shattered your peace, the Guardian boomed, its presence more substantial than ever. But will you stand idle, or will you join in solidarity? Are we really going to let him face that alone? Adam urged, his voice cutting through the cacophony. He stepped up. What about us? What are we afraid of? Clara could see the flickers of change in their eyes, that mix of responsibility and longing to be part of something greater. Would they rally together, or would the shadows claim yet another soul? I'm with him, someone shouted from the back, breaking the tension like a dam bursting. Clara could feel hope flighting around them, a spark ready to ignite the flames of courage. Together, Clara cried. A group of faces lit up with bravery, a chorus of footsteps marching toward the crypt, hearts racing in unison. Hands gripping each other, they crossed the threshold, bravery weaving through the darkened as Clara entered, the echoing sound of their breaths swallowed them whole. But what awaited inside was beyond anything they had prepared for. The air crackled with energy and anticipation. Truths hung poised in the shadows. Each of you must confront your fears, the Guardian decreed, its voice resonant and unyielding. Prepare yourselves, for the spiritual test is only just beginning. What challenges would they face in this cold, cavernous oblivion? Would they emerge formidable, or would the weight of their buried secrets drag them down into despair forever? Clara's heart thundered with uncertainty, yet she knew this was just the beginning of a journey that had the potential to transform them all. And somewhere in the vast darkness, the crypt echoed with unguessed horrors, testaments waiting to be revealed. Only time would tell what truly lay ahead. The air thickened with apprehension as Clara and the others pushed deeper into the crypt. The darkness wrapped around them like a heavy shroud, swallowing any remnants of light. They huddled together, the quiet dread gnawing at their resolve. Clara could hear their breaths, irregular and shaky, mingling with the low hum of the Guardian's energy pulsing behind them. What happens now? Someone whispered, eyes darting, searching the shadows for answers that wouldn't come. Remember, the Guardian's voice echoed, reverberating against the cold stone walls. Fear is the first test. As if on cue, the shadows coalesced into forms twisted and grotesque, flickering with a faint, eerie glow. Clara's heart slammed against her ribcage. Were these manifestations of their own fears? She stepped forward, chin held high, unwilling to surrender to the dread that seeped through the cracks of her resolve. That a figure emerged from the swirling darkness, its face hauntingly familiar. It was her younger self, eyes wide and afraid, a reflection of her insecurities and failures. Clara's breath hitched as memories flooded back, every humiliation, every lost chance seemingly brought to life before her. No, you're not real, she shouted, but their eyes locked, and Clara could feel the cold grip of doubt coiling around her heart. Yes, I am, the apparition spoke, voice distorted, echoing her own self-doubts. You buried me, but I will not be forgotten. You'll never become who you are meant to be unless you confront me. The chilling truth clutched at her throat. However much she screamed, she could not ignore what she had cast aside, the parts of herself she had long avoided. She was trapped in an arena of reflection. What was she truly afraid of? Behind her, she heard cries of anguish. Each member of the group faced their own specters, twisted versions of themselves laced with regret and anger. Adam's face paled, matching the tortured visage of his alter ego, a shadow of his worst moments laid bare. Clara wanted to reach out, to offer comfort, but fear gripped her, taut and unyielding. I can't do this, Julie cried, collapsing to her knees, locked in a staring match with a shadowy figure that seemed to mock her every move. We can't give in, Clara shouted, rallying against the heaviness pressing down on her. This is our chance to reclaim what we've lost. We have to push through. The guardian's voice thundered through the crypt, intertwining with the shadows. To master your fear is to truly confront yourselves. Will you break free or be consumed? Clara felt a surge of energy coursing through her, igniting embers of courage. With a defiant shout, she lunged toward her past self, gripping the specter's arms, heart pounding. I won't hide anymore. You don't control me. The apparition trembled, shadows flickering as if her declaration had diminished its power. Just as she thought she could break free, the room quaked violently. The walls seemed to pulse as the shadows writhed, sentient and aggressive. Your fears are not meant to be faced alone, Adam shouted, his voice cutting through the chaos. With newfound strength, he clutched Julie's hand, pulling her up. Together, we can fight this. One by one, the group began to form a barrier against their fears. Hands reached out, voices unified in defiance. Shadows withdrew momentarily, seeming to recoil from the light of their solidarity. Stand firm. They cannot overcome us when we unite. Clara cried, feeling the bonds strengthening like iron chains, each member emboldened by the shared vulnerability. Yet, just as they gained ground, the ground shook ferociously. The passageways of the crypt seemed to twist and contort, echoing with sinister laughter that sent chills down Clara's spine. You think this is over? The darkness still holds many secrets. Clara narrowed her eyes at the looming shadows. We're not afraid of you. We choose to confront you together. But deep within her heart, a lingering uncertainty coiled tighter. What other horrors lay in store? As the echoes of disembodied laughter resounded, Clara realized this was just the beginning. What more could this crypt reveal about their past's buried choices that threatened to unearth the darkest corners of their souls? With looming revelations waiting to manifest, Clara steeled herself for the trials ahead. The air crackled with tension, the next phase already primed to ensnare them. What peril awaited on this chilling path? Would they stand united, or would their truths tear them apart? As the crypt shook, the laughter twisted into something almost tangible, reverberating like a cacophony in Clara's head. Each booming sound threatened to fracture their unity, to tear them apart. She glanced at her friends. Fear was etched across their faces, but behind those eyes was determination. They just had to hold on a little longer. Together, remember? She urged, squeezing their hands tighter. The light of their shared bravery flickered against the abyss, but shadows clung to the edges, seeming to snicker at their resolve. Suddenly, the darkness surged, spiraling in wild tendrils toward the group. Clara's breath quickened. Shrieking faces formed within the shadows, faces of people she had loved and lost, drenched in pain and sorrow. They were shadows of failures, of abandoned dreams, and regrets laid bare. It was as if this crypt was a gateway, pulling forth the grief she thought she had buried. Don't look away, Adam shouted, his voice cracking but fierce. They're just illusions. Our past can't harm us unless we let them. With a flicker of hope igniting within her, Clara nodded. You're right. They're just memories. We can make new ones. As the shadows lunged, she felt an insistent pulse of energy building inside her, an energy that cried out for liberation, for the purity of acknowledgement. Whatever pain they carry, it doesn't define us. She yelled, rising above the tide of doubt. We're worthy of a future. One by one, her friends echoed her sentiment. We won't be trapped, shouted Julie, her voice rising like a war cry. We refuse to be victims. The shadows writhed, recoiling from the collective fire they ignited. Clara could feel the tremors beneath her, an unsettling reminder that they were walking the line between despair and hope. But the guardian's voice returned, deeper now, commanding and ominous. You have grasped the first truth. But beware, for the darkness feeds on your fears. More horrors are yet to come. As soon as the last words faded, the ground convulsed, and Clara stumbled, barely regaining her footing. The walls began to melt and shift, opening into a vast, swirling abyss that yawned before them, tendrils of smoke coiling about their ankles. A blinding light pierced through the darkness, a doorway that beckoned them forward. Where does it lead? Murmured Julie, shivering. The light was overwhelmingly brilliant, yet menacing, like a moth caught in a flame's radiance. Only one way to find out, Clara said, her voice firm despite the quaking ground beneath her. She took a step toward the light, and the others followed, uncertain but unwilling to break their bond. The moment they crossed the threshold, the blinding light engulfed them, and shadows shrieked in rage. The crypt's laughter died down, replaced by ominous whispers that echoed around them. Face the second test, a voice hissed, cold as ice, echoing in the air. What will be revealed now will shake your very core. Clara's heart raced. Would they endure this trial? What hidden truths lurked in the unforeseen? The air felt charged, almost electric, as they stood at the brink of a new revelation. What will we see? Adam whispered, voice barely audible. Clara clenched her fists, fighting the fear burgeoning inside her. Whatever it is, we'll face it together. As the ground beneath them trembled once again, shadows from the past began to take form, twisting into something more defined, something deeply personal that had been locked away for too long. What secrets awaited them in the unsettling glow? What shadows would rise next? And would they hold the strength to confront them all? The light shifted, casting blurs and waves that danced eerily around the shadows. Clara squinted, trying to make sense of the forms trying to pull themselves together, stretching and twisting like broken marionettes. She gripped her friend's hands tighter, their shared warmth contrasting sharply with the chill creeping through the air. Keep your eyes open, Adam urged, steeling himself. Clara felt his palm perspiring against hers, but she sensed an underlying strength in him, a grit that seeped into her resolve. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was a girl, young and fragile, whose hollow eyes seemed to bore into Clara's soul. It was a visage she knew all too well. Samantha, her childhood friend, who had disappeared one fateful summer night, leaving only fractured memories in her wake. Samantha, Clara's breath caught. What are you doing here? I've waited so long. The figure whispered, her voice thin like smoke. Every night, I wished you would call my name, but you let me go. Something heavy lodged itself in Clara's throat. Guilt churned in her stomach, memories of laughter, playful teasing, and the promise they made to always be together. No, Julie interjected, shaking her head vehemently. Samantha is gone. She isn't real. But Clara could see Samantha's curled lip of disdain, the shadows writhing about her like creeping vines. You think you can escape me? I am your regret. You let me down, Clara. The ground trembled violently as the specter's voice soared, wrapping around them in a suffocating embrace. Clara found herself gasping, the urge to flee crashing against an equally pressing need to confront her past. Don't let her get to you, Adam shouted, breaking through the chaos. She is not real, just a reflection of your doubts. Clara steeled herself, recalling all those moments they shared, moments that defined who she was. You're not my past, she shouted, voice trembling but fierce. You were my friend, and that was a part of me, but it doesn't own me. As she spoke, the shadows shifted uneasily, the figure of Samantha flickering like a dying flame. The girl's expression twisted into a snarl, morphing into another face, her mother this time, the pain from years of unresolved hurt washing over Clara like a wave. You think you're better than us? You think you can move forward without facing the truth? Clara staggered, feeling the weight of every unspoken word, every moment of anger and abandonment. Her heart raced. Until now, she had lived in avoidance, tiptoeing around conversations that could have healed her heart. Mom, she started, but the words lodged in her throat, bitter and inaccessible. Face it, the voice cried, a crescendo of anger and grief. You think I'm gone? You carry me in your weakness. Her friends, reeling from their own shadowy confrontations, drew closer to her, their expressions a mix of fear and fierce loyalties. They were standing together, fighting against their demons. Clara, Julie said, her voice urgent, use your strength. You're not a victim. You're not your regrets. You can redefine yourself. Clara took a deep breath, feeling the connection, the strength pooling between them. You're right, she yelled, voice ringing out. Every time I didn't push through my pain, I let you rule me. No more. With those words, light exploded around them, illuminating the faces of their fears as they shrieked and faded. The specters howled in defiance, but the brilliance pushed them back, revealing a path through the chaos. But just as victory seemed tangible, the ground shook again, more violently this time, echoing a profound sense of dread. A chilling future threatened to emerge, darker and more threatening than Clara had ever faced before. Will you fight or retreat? A new voice whispered, colder than ice, piercing through the veil of light. Clara's heart pounded, fear clawing its way through her courageous facade. What monster loomed next in this spiritual gauntlet? What shadows lay ahead, ready to pull them under? The air thickened, charging with palpable malice. The battle was far from over, and the real test was yet to unfold. What is the next challenge? She gasped, her voice trembling with uncertainty. Silence hung heavy around them, leaving them hanging at the edge of an unseen precipice. The silence shattered like glass as a new presence invaded the air, a dark figure emerging from the enveloping chaos. Clara squinted, her heart pounding against the walls of her chest. This was not just another shadow. This was something ancient, something that thrived on fear. Come closer, it beckoned, its voice a chilling melody that slithered through the air. It was a creature cloaked in darkness, its features obscured but its intent clear, a predator lurking, waiting to pounce on their vulnerability. Face what you truly are, Clara, it hissed, the words dripping with malice. Haunted by the past, shackled by failure. Aren't you tired of fighting? Clara felt her grip on reality slipping. The frigid air wrapped around her like hands that sought to strangle her resolve. She turned to her friends, desperation clouding her vision. We can't lose hope. We've fought so hard. Hope. The figure sneered, as if the very word was poison. What has hope ever done for you? Look around. You are standing in your own nightmare, surrounded by the ghosts of your failure. A shudder rippled through Clara. It was true. Every regret, every moment of hesitation, loomed large and menacing, circling them like vultures. She could feel it, the weight of her failures, heavier than stone. Remember your first love? The figure continued, its voice weaving through her memories like a thread unraveling at the seams. The boy who left without a word? The dreams you buried with him? Clara's heart thumped violently. That boy had been a beacon in her life, and suddenly, she felt the flicker of that light extinguish, leaving only darkness behind. The weight of lost chances pressed down, threatening to crush her spirit. Now, think of all those who didn't believe in you. It taunted, a ghostly wind sweeping through the air, whispering doubts. They were right, you know. You don't belong here. You never will. While rose in Clara's throat. The voices of those who had doubted her echoed in her mind, a cacophony of disbelief. Stay strong, Julie shouted, clutching her arm tightly. You choose who you are, not anyone else. Clara turned to her. But what if they're right? What if I can't face this? Then you give it power. Adam interjected fiercely, stepping forward. It feeds on your fears. But we're with you. Together, we're stronger than any shadow. Clara clenched her jaw, anger bubbling up with defiance. You think I'm weak? No more. She felt the fire igniting within her, fueled by her friend's unwavering support. Enough, she screamed, her voice echoing in the encroaching darkness. I may have made mistakes, but they don't define me. I have loved, I have lost, but I am not my failures. The figure faltered, shadows swirling and dissipating around it. Clara felt the light grow brighter, illuminating her friends' faces, their eyes filled with fierce determination. Yet the creature, now flickering like an old film, refused to disappear entirely. You may banish me for now, but I will return. You cannot escape the shadows inside you. With that final snarl, it vanished into the abyss, but Clara could still feel its presence, lurking at the edges of her mind, whispering doubts and fears that would not easily dissolve. Breathless, Clara turned to her friends, relief washing over her, but mixed with uncertainty. What just happened? The ground beneath them trembled again, a warning rumble, as a new, louder voice pierced the void. This one was deeper, reverberating through their bones. Are you willing to pay the price to uncover the truth? It boomed. Clara's stomach twisted at the possibility of life-shattering revelations ahead. What truth? She yelled into the darkness, heart racing anew. Silence answered back ominously, wrapping them in a cocoon of unsettling anticipation, as if the shadows were poised, ready to unleash their next terrifying challenge. What would the truth cost? And were they ready to pay? The tension hung thick in the air, and Clara's heart raced in her chest as the shadows loomed ominously around them. The past echoed through the crypt like a chilling lullaby, whispering doubts that clawed at her mind. They had faced demons, battled shadows, and yet the battles were far from over. Are you willing to confront that which you've hidden away? The ominous voice reverberated again, its haunting echo emerging from the darkest corners of the crypt. With every word, the ground trembled, and Clara could feel her resolve teetering on the precipice of fear. The darkness shifted, swirling and coiling around them, each flicker of movement sending chills down their spines. What is the price? Clara shouted defiantly, her voice barely breaking through the haze of dread. What must we face? Are you ready to lose everything? The voice pushed, each word laced with venomous allure. Clara felt a knot form in her stomach. She could sense the weight of that question. The stakes of confronting their truths kept rising, threatening to crush them all. Together, Adam shouted, grounding her with his unwavering spirit. Whatever comes, we will face it united, every single one of us. Clara felt their collective strength swell around her, a fierce bond forged through the fires of fear and vulnerability. But just then, a bright light erupted from the void. Vivid visions cascaded around them like broken glass, each one a haunting reminder of what they had shunned. Clara blinked against the brightness, squinting to adapt to the raw spectacle of heartache playing out all around her. Here lies your greatest fears. The voice boomed with glee, each piercing gaze aimed straight at their hearts. A scornful laughter echoed in the air, urging them to falter and stumble. In that barrage of memories, Clara saw herself standing in the playground, watching children play as laughter filled the air, a memory tainted by her insecurities of never being enough, of believing she didn't belong. Remember this? The dark voice twisted through the joyful noise, morphing it into something ghastly. You always stood aside, too scared to join in. You were the outcast. No, Clara cried, rage and sorrow igniting simultaneously within her. That is not who I am. The specter shifted, and suddenly, the shadows morphed into her relationships fractured by misunderstandings and unspoken words. Her old friendships, her estranged family, each relationship a testament to choices unmade. Tears spilled down her cheeks as the pain mirrored the faces of those she had let down, fears coiling tightly around her heart. But before despair could close its grip, her friends encircled her, their spirits ablaze with shared determination. No more standing in the shadows, Julie shouted, her voice fierce and unwavering. We rise together. With renewed vigor, Clara held on to that sentiment, feeling the warmth of camaraderie suffusing her with courage. The illusion around them cracked, each shadowed visage shattering as solidarity pulsed through their intertwined hands. Show us the truth, Clara yelled, heart racing, and the crypt shifted violently with energy swirling around them, the atmosphere electrifying, like raw lightning feeding the impending storm. We're ready to fight. A silence heavy with anticipation followed, then an explosion of light filled the crypt, a blinding cascade that washed over them like sunlight breaking through clouds. As the bright glow embraced them, they found themselves standing on the edge of a vast, radiant landscape, a place that shimmered with the vibrant essence of hope. Emerging from the darkness in bold strokes, they turned to one another in astonishment, breathing in the fragrant air that smelled of renewal. We did it, someone exclaimed, disbelief lacing their voice. The guardian stepped forward, its presence no longer dark and foreboding, but rather ethereal and uplifting. You have faced the darkness within, and in doing so, you have severed the chains that bind you. But remember, freedom comes at a cost, a commitment to grow from what you have learned. Clara felt the weight of that statement sink deep. Life would demand their courage and strength moving forward, but together they had taken the first step. They had unlocked the door to their true selves. Well done, the guardian said with a gentle nod. You emerged from the abyss with your truths laid bare. Let this mark the moment your lives begin anew. And as the horizon sparkled in hues of gold and blue, Clara's heart soared, possibilities unfurling like petals of a flower blooming in the spring. The group stood hand in hand, laughter and sobs mixing in joyous celebration. They had faced shadows, heard their truths, and emerged not only victorious but transformed. Together, Clara murmured, looking at her friends, their eyes glimmering with newfound clarity. This is just the beginning. With the moonlight reflecting in the distance, Their journey forward stretched before them like an open road, untainted by fear, alive with potential, and forged through bonds that would never break. Now, as they turned their backs on the crypt that had tested their spirits, they stepped into the light, forever changed but emboldened, ready to write their stories anew. Now, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and spread this transformative journey. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this epic ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your support is everything. This community thrives on it.